Hello to everyone who is watching this. I'm doing a session today with Tyler. So I'm just going to wait for him to show up and then we'll get into it. So for all you watching, for right now, we're just waiting. We'll get started as soon as Tyler arrives in the Hangouts call, which hopefully should be really soon. I can't see the chat right now, but we had 4 viewers there, which is pretty good for something like this. Let's just give Tyler a minute here. And remember, guys, if you want to get one of these sessions for yourself, you can do that by going to the link at the top of the description. That will take you to the page that has all of the information that you're going to need. So while we're waiting for Tyler to arrive, I'm going to pull up the chat, see what you guys are asking and stuff. So hello to Hypercuber, Carterbits Cubing, Woj, and Professor Cubes. Thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for being patient with me and patient with Tyler. We'll give him a few minutes. I'm not in any rush. I don't know if it'll show up super well, but while we're waiting, how about I just show you guys the solves? And again, I don't know how well these will show up, but the link to the solve video is also in the description. So if you want to check that out there, you can do that. So as you can see, Tyler is relatively fast, so this should be a cool session once he gets here. Is it showing up all right? I'm not sure how well the solves are actually showing up because it's actually kind of laggy, but we might as well just show them while we're waiting. Okay, those are the solves. I'll just go back to the beginning, set it back to 0.25 speed, and now we'll just keep waiting for Tyler. While we're waiting, if you guys have any questions or anything about how sessions work, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer anything or help you with any of your concerns. Hey,
Hey, B.
how's it going?
It's going. I'm sorry it took me a little while. I didn't get your email. It didn't notify me.
No worries, we're not in a hurry.
All
So
right.
I have your video pulled up here. And you said you wanted to basically just work on whatever you need to get faster.
Yeah. Something I've kind of noticed with the last few months is I'm just doing solves to solve and not, I can't find something to focus on. So, I want an outside perspective.
Okay, so I think I can help with that. So um, I'm going to be looking at these at 0.25 speed. I watched them at full speed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be pointing stuff out. And if you have any questions, you can interrupt me and ask at any time.
All right. Sounds good.
So based on what I've seen, I'm guessing that you solve white and yellow.
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, that sounds good. So just looking at this, I think this is an all right cross. We'll see what you do. Yeah, your cross looks pretty good. Now let's see what you spot. Okay, you're doing green and red here. That was very good. And you rotate. So the way that you, so if we take a look at this again, you've got this pair right here, and the way you ended up solving it was good. It's just that if you, what you did is you rotated, solved it, and then rotated back.
Yeah, I could have done that rotationless.
Yeah, and what I actually would have done is just on R prime UR from this angle, and then connected and inserted them in the back. And that just works better because you have a bunch of open slots since it's early in your solve. Let's see. You spotted that pair really easily. And then you spot that. So just based on that solve, it looks like you have a lot of your fundamentals really good. Your look ahead is especially good. So then you do your OLL. Just your standard OLL, that's good. Do you know full OLL?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good. And then you've got this G-perm. And that was very nice as well. So actually, it looks like fundamentally the only problem with that solve was that second pair with the extra cube rotations. And other than that, that was a really good solve.
So I think then, based on that, the only problem I would have is just kind of turning faster and keeping my look ahead up while I do that.
Yeah, because you have your turning's good, your look ahead's good, you can start getting comfortable with turning faster while still looking ahead. Yeah, I think that's a good next step for you. So let's take a look at this cross. And I think you're going to go with yellow on this one.
Probably. I can't remember.
Neither of them look particularly good, but we'll see. Looks like you had some lockups there, but it looks like it was pretty efficient overall. So lockups just happen sometimes. It's not really worth focusing on. Did you sort of do that in a strange way to intentionally preserve this pair?
I don't think so. I didn't notice the pair as I was solving it, but when I looked back at the footage, I noticed that there was the pre-made thing there.
Yeah,
but I didn't intentionally try to solve it.
Well, that set you up really well, and you looked ahead into it really well. So you had, if we go back just a little bit, that sets up this blue and orange pair, and you spotted that, and you did that well. You had a few extra U moves, and that's a problem, but it's not a huge deal. And then here you've basically got, you have two pairs both on the right side, and you're not going to need to rotate for either of them, so it's just a lot of R and U moves. So let's see what you do for this. Yep, that's good. I think that's definitely the easier pair to do in that situation, but it sort of puts you in a rough situation with this edge insert.
Yeah, and the EO isn't very good there.
Yeah, there's got to be some like advanced EO alg for that, but there are like 5 or 6 different edge inserts, and they're all good. That's a good one to go with. Then you've got this OLL. The execution was good there with those lefty double flicks. And then you've got this E-perm. And that was a nice E-perm as well. It's kind of, I think that's good.
Yeah, I took a second to check it, and I was like, oh man, did I really get a +2 on a video?
Well,
Yeah, no,
you
I think it
got
was
lucky
okay.
this time. Yeah, I can tell that's just barely good there.
That is something I have a problem with is stopping my solves either either completely plus two'd or very close to it. But that's just kind of me being lazy and not doing AUF. Um, so
Um,
I think, yeah,
I mean, that's not really a huge thing to worry about as long as you know like in official solves that you have to AUF and
yeah,
everything like that. So based on what we've seen so far, yeah, you have a lot of really good fundamentals. It's just like there was one inefficient thing on your first solve and then a few extra U moves before doing a pair on your second solve.
yeah.
So that second
Something
solve,
else something else I think is kind of holding me back is my inability to find my first pair or even know where it's at during cross. And that kind of slows me down in the transition from cross to F2L. I've tried to do like exercises like I can one look my cross and I can try to visualize where a pair would be, but most of the time it just doesn't end up where I need it or where I thought it would be.
so actually that would be a really good thing to work on. One of the best, most beneficial things in helping me get sub 10 was learning how to predict my first pair during inspection. So if you're having trouble predicting it, like you said, there are a few things you can do. Like first, instead of trying to predict it, what you can do is plan your cross and then find the pieces that make up an F2L pair and then just track those while you're solving your cross.
Mm.
Uh,
Hmm.
that's that's good.
Yeah, because that shouldn't be too hard if I know the moves to do my cross. I can just follow
Yeah,
those then.
yeah, and I don't think knowing the moves would be a problem for you. I still think that prediction is better than tracking them, but if you can't
Yeah.
predict them, then tracking is the best option. And
All right.
and sometimes like what would you do if you had a scramble with a pre-made F2L pair?
I I would do my best to preserve it, and then if I couldn't find a good way to make an X cross out of it, I would just insert it after I'm done with the cross, which I mean I guess is the same thing. But if there's a pre-made pair and the cross doesn't interfere with it, then I'm usually okay. Um, but if it comes down to like, it takes 3 or 4 extra moves to preserve that F2L pair, I don't know if it would be really worth it.
I think that like I tend to think that if you even if it takes those 3 or 4 extra moves, I think it's worth it because then not only do you have a pre-made pair, but you know what to do. So
Mm-hmm.
even so that avoids the transition altogether. And I would even go as far as to say the same thing applies if it's not a pre-made pair, it's just pieces in like a good position. If you can
Right.
modify how you do your cross in order to make it easier to solve that pair after you're done.
Right. Like if I know it's going to be set up to a 3 move insert, then that's worth it compared to not doing it at all.
Yeah. And I'd say, yeah, if it takes 3 or 4 extra moves, that's definitely worth it. So yeah, I think that would be a very helpful sort of mentality to take to try and work on that kind of thing. Okay, this looks like a pretty easy cross. Let's see what happens here.
Like 45 minutes.
Okay, that was good, except then you have it off by a
Yeah.
D2. And let's see.
Watching this one, I was kind of hitting
Oh
myself in
yeah,
the
and
head.
then
Like, why did I do this?
yeah, that happens to me sometimes as well. Like that's not something you really need to worry about. then you accidentally insert this into the wrong slot, unfortunately.
This just was a bad solve. Looking at it, because I think the solve was a 13. If I had done the cross correctly, the F2L pair would have been right.
Yeah.
And if I had done it, it could have been like low 9.
Yeah, so I don't think that, yeah, you're right, but I don't think this is something you really need to worry about. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, unless this is like a really common occurrence, then that would be a different story. But
I
I
was
don't
surprised
think
when it
so.
happened.
So then
Yeah.
you solve this. So here's the one other thing I noticed is that at a few points during this average, you've had like these double sexy sort of pair situations. And I'd say
Mhm.
for that, you don't have to rotate for these, but sometimes you do anyway. Like
Right.
in this position you were in, where you had orange in front and this was in the back, I think that's okay because in the back left it can be really awkward. But like if you have like a triple sexy pair on the front left, then you can just do the lefty moves instead of rotating and doing
Yeah.
new moves. So you did that pair. Let's see what you did here. So okay, so then you spot green and orange, and that was, I'd say that was your best choice. That was your best option there. That was good. And then there's not really any great options for that pair. I'd say that's a good choice. The one thing, if we get to that again, with the way you did it, if you did a sledgehammer here,
Yeah. Could have had it better. I could have had EO done, which,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm working on being able to recognize EO. Right now, the sledge is the only case I can recognize. And even then, it still takes me some time to actually like process. Hey, I need to do a sledge instead of a normal insert. So
yeah,
I'm working on that.
that's something that definitely comes with time, is that you can eventually you'll be able to just look at the last pair situation and know when it'll be good to do a sledgehammer. So then you do that. It ends up not being that bad because you get an easy OLL and you get your corners solved. And then you get an H perm. So your last layer there kind of made up for the mistakes at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
overall it seems like you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. It's like it's just minor things that are holding me back right now.
Yeah,
Like
but
doing U moves in my F2L and just small things.
well, you're at the point where you aren't making any big mistakes. It's just the minor things, but every tenth of a second counts.
Yep.
So this looks like a kind of difficult cross. Let's see what you do here. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of like cube rotating during cross, but it seemed like it worked really well there. So I'd say that was good. Yep, there it wasn't aligned right away, but you realized before you inserted any pairs, so that wasn't a problem. And then let's see. You spot this blue and red. I have no clue how you spotted the blue and red back here, but You pull that out.
I think sometimes I just get lucky guesses.
Well, that was definitely a good guess. And then you go right away into this blue and orange. That was very nice. And then somewhere in there, wait a second, when did your green and orange get solved?
I think I got lucky and it already got solved.
I wanna take a look at this. Let's see. If we go back here, did you build an X cross or something, or did it get inserted on an accident at some other point in your F2L? I think that was just an accidental X cross, yeah.
Oh. Happy accidents.
Yep, I guess you got sort of doubly lucky there. So then you solve that. Blue and orange. And here's what I'm talking about where
yeah,
you don't
the lefty.
Oh, my bad. You don't have to cube rotate for this pair.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a simple thing. You get this OLL again. And then it sets up for an R perm. Just a few extra U moves there in the middle. And the extra U moves are easier to fix in last layer than they are in F2L.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one of the things that you can work on. So I ended up being a 1075, probably because of that X cross.
Yeah. And I think in that solve specifically, the F2L, the look ahead was quite a bit smoother than the rest of the average.
Yeah, on your yeah, that was definitely a good look ahead there.
I think having that pair solved helped because I had less places for pieces to be, so
yeah,
it kind of helped everything.
Well, let's see what you do for cross here. Okay, that was good. Oops. Let's go back a little bit. That looked like a good cross. It looks like it's just D and F. And so that was good. And it sets up this blue and red, and you spot that immediately. And that was good. And then that sets up this pair and this pair, actually. Let's see what you end up doing. So we go back a little bit. You already have that green and orange right here, which means that you could have done like RU2 R prime from here, or you could have done like U2 and then LU2 L prime to set them up. This cube rotation wasn't really necessary.
Right.
It did sort of make it so you wouldn't have to cube rotate for this pair, but I'm not certain. I'm not sure if you would have had to in the first place. So then that pair was good. Oops, I skipped ahead again a little bit. So I can take a look at this. So you solve that. Go straight into that pair. That was good. And you got the same pair here. And so you do a Y2. And then another
and
Y.
then another rotation. Oh.
That was, I mean, that's unfortunate kind of in multiple ways if we look at this again. Because not only are there
I
a
could
lot
have just
of
done a
rotations,
lefty.
Yeah, you could have just done that, but it also ends up giving you a dot OLL, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I can actually show you something kind of helpful here. So you solve this, and then from this angle with blue in front, you can just solve this pair and pretend you have an open slot here. So you do U prime, L prime, U2, L, insert this, and then this pair will be right here, and you can just reinsert it.
Hmm.
And that can be really helpful for this case specifically, for not having to cube rotate for it. But like,
Oh, I see.
yeah, and so
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, I know that's really useful. It is. Not knowing that was sort of your only option. Unfortunately, it gave you a .ol, but you executed that well, and then you got this yperm. You're a little bit locky on there, but it's not a big deal.
Oof.
And so then that gave you an 1142 average of 5. So how would you say that average of 5 compares to your overall average?
I'd say that's slightly worse than average, because I had a counting 12 in there, which doesn't really happen all that often when I just sit down and do an average of 5. But my global is like 11.3-ish, so not too far off. Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like you're definitely on the right track. You have a lot of good habits and a lot of good fundamentals. So before we go over sort of my recommendations, do you have any sort of final questions?
No, I think I'm good. I think, yeah, I think you went over pretty much everything. So
So
whatever else you got.
so overall, like we said, you have very good fundamentals with your look ahead, your efficiency, your turning. I'd say now you can work on turning faster in your F2L and keeping up the look ahead. I think that's a good next step. Getting rid of some of those extra U moves before you see what you're doing. And what I'd recommend doing to sort that out is, while you're doing untimed solves, sort of tell yourself to pause and not do any moves or anything until you see exactly
Until I
what you have to
see,
do.
yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's something that I used to do when I was practicing, like when I was averaging like 13-ish. I would make that a habit. I don't know where I went wrong with not doing it anymore, but that's definitely something that helped me push to sub 13 and then sub 12. And now I just have a bunch of random things that are that way. But yeah, definitely, I think that's my big problem. Is I've noticed that, and I can tell myself while I'm doing solves, you need to stop AUFing during F2L. Look at the pieces. Don't like make them move.
And so,
yeah,
that's what I see that you can work on. And as your look ahead gets even better, it becomes way easier to not do those extra U moves, because you'll know exactly what to do right away. And that just comes with time and practice. But overall, I think just those two things are. Oh yeah, and that one. There were very few, but some examples of where you cube rotated when you didn't have to, but they're rare enough that they're not really a problem.
I need to learn some F2L cases from multiple angles.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is also just the recognition, like being able to recognize it and know that you don't have to rotate.
Right,
because for some people, it's just a reflex to rotate before they see a pair or before they know what to do for it. I don't think that's the case for you, but I think the case for you is more that either
I can't recognize whether or not I need to rotate or not.
Yeah, that gets easier when you see cases more and more times.
Right.
So, thanks for coming on here, man.
All right, thanks for having me. I know I'm kind of at the level where it's minor things that I need to fix, and I really wanted to, get an outside perspective from someone who's quite a bit faster than me, but also because I really I enjoy what you do, and I knew this kind of went to supporting you, and that's one of the main reasons I did this. So I appreciate you having me on here, and I appreciate what you do. Keep at it, Brody.
Thank you. So I'll send you the link to this recording once it's done processing. And if you have any more questions, you know how to get a hold of me.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I'll see you later.
See you later.